U.S. military escalation in the Caribbean, the deployment of the USS Gerald R. Ford and its implications for power projection in Latin America. In the sweltering geopolitical waters of the Caribbean, where historical echoes of gunboat diplomacy reverberate against the hulls of modern warships, the United States has once again asserted its naval dominance. On October 24, 2025, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth announced the deployment of the USS Gerald R. Ford Carrier Strike Group, CSG-12, from its station in the Mediterranean Sea to the Caribbean region, marking a dramatic escalation in an ongoing military campaign against drug trafficking and narco-terrorism. This move, ordered by President Donald Trump, injects over 7,500 personnel, a nuclear-powered supercarrier, and a formidable air wing into waters already patrolled by U.S. destroyers, submarines, and marine expeditionary units. Officially framed as a counter-narcotics operation targeting transnational criminal organizations, TCOs, like Venezuela's Tren Aragua gang, the deployment raises profound questions about intent. Is this a targeted interdiction effort, or a prelude to regime change operations against adversarial states like Venezuela and its allies? This essay analyzes the latest U.S. military actions in the Caribbean, situating the Ford's deployment within a broader timeline of naval buildup and lethal strikes. It examines the carrier's capabilities for power projection, particularly its potential to launch airstrikes against specific targets in Colombia, Venezuela, and neighboring countries such as Cuba and Nicaragua. Drawing on strategic, legal, and diplomatic dimensions, the analysis argues that while the operation enhances U.S. deterrence against drug flows and hostile regimes, it risks provoking a regional crisis, straining hemispheric alliances, and echoing the imperial overreach of past interventions. By dissecting the tactical mechanics of carrier-based strikes alongside their geopolitical fallout, this essay illuminates how the Ford's arrival transforms the Caribbean from a theater of smuggling into a potential flashpoint for great power confrontation. Historical context: from Monroe Doctrine to modern gunboat diplomacy. The Caribbean has long served as a strategic backyard for U.S. foreign policy, a region where naval power has been wielded to secure economic interests, counter ideological threats, and maintain hemispheric hegemony. The Monroe Doctrine of 1823, with its corollaries under Theodore Roosevelt, justified interventions in Cuba, Haiti, and the Dominican Republic to preempt European influence. The Cold War era saw U.S. carriers like the USS Independence enforcing blockades during the 1962 Cuban Missile Crisis, while the 1980s Reagan Doctrine targeted Nicaraguan Sandinistas and Salvadoran guerrillas through covert aid and airstrikes. Today's actions echo this legacy but are reframed through the lens of the war on drugs, a narrative that has justified operations from the 1989 Panama invasion to drone strikes in Mexico's cartel strongholds. The 2025 deployment builds on Executive Order 14,157, signed by Trump in January, which designated Latin American cartels, including Tren Aragua, MS-13, and Venezuela's Cartel de los Soles, as foreign terrorist organizations, FTOs. This legal maneuver, coupled with a July 2025 secret executive order authorizing military action, has enabled a shift from interdiction to kinetic operations. By October 2025, U.S. forces in the region numbered over 10,000, including the Iwo Jima Amphibious Ready Group, with 4,000 sailors and 2,200 Marines, and assets like the USS Jason Dunham destroyer and USS Newport News submarine. The stated objective, to dismantle TCOs and counter narco-terrorism, masks deeper aims, disrupting Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro's regime, which the U.S. accuses of facilitating drug flows to fund its survival amid sanctions. This build-up, initiated in late August 2025 with 3 warships expanding to 8 by month's end, has already yielded 8 airstrikes on suspected smuggling vessels, killing 38 individuals in international waters. The October 24 nighttime strike, which eliminated 6 Tren Aragua operatives aboard a cartel boat, exemplifies the campaign's lethality. Yet, As Venezuelan F-16s buzzed U.S. ships on September 4 and Maduro mobilized 4 million militia members, though credible estimates peg active forces at 343,000, the operation teeters on the edge of escalation. Enter the USS Gerald R. Ford, not just a floating airfield, but a symbol of American resolve, and a potential catalyst for conflict. The USS Gerald R. Ford, a floating fortress of firepower. Commissioned in 2017 as the lead ship of the Gerald R. Ford class, the USS Ford represents the pinnacle of U.S. naval engineering, a 100,000-ton behemoth powered by two A-1B nuclear reactors, capable of steaming over 30 knots indefinitely with a crew of 4,500 and air wing of 2,600. At 1,106 feet long, its electromagnetic aircraft launch system, EMLS, enables 160 sorties per day, 33% more than Nimitz-class predecessors, sustained by 11 catapults and advanced arrestor wires. Currently en route from the Mediterranean, docked in Split, Croatia, as recently as October 21, the carrier will take approximately 1 week to transit the Atlantic, arriving amid a flotilla that includes Destroyer Squadron 2 USS Ramage, USS McFowl, USS Thomas Hudner, and the cruiser USS Normandy. The Ford's true potency lies in Carrier Air Wing 8, CVW-8, a composite squadron optimized for strike warfare. Core assets include FA-18E/F Super Hornets, VFA-11 Red Rippers, VFA-81 Sunliners, VFA-83 Rampagers, multi-role fighters numbering 44 aircraft, each with a combat radius of 500 nautical miles, NM, unrefueled, extendable to 1,000 plus NM via aerial tankers like the FA-18's buddy refueling pods or KC-130 support. Armed with AGM-84 Harpoon anti-ship missiles, AGM-88 HARM anti-radiation missiles, and precision-guided munitions, for example, JDAMs, shows, they can deliver 2,000-pound bombs or laser-guided Hellfires against fixed or mobile targets. EA-18G Growlers, VAC 144 main battery, 8 electronic attack jets for jamming radar and communications, ensuring strike packages penetrate defended airspace. E-2D Advanced Hawkeyes, VOR 124 Bear Aces, 4 airborne early warning aircraft providing 360-degree surveillance up to 250 miles, coordinating strikes with MQ-9 Reaper drones already deployed to Puerto Rico. MH-60R/S Seahawks, helicopters for anti-submarine warfare, search and rescue, and vertical replenishment, enhancing the group's endurance. This air wing, integrated with F-35B Lightning IIs from Puerto Rico bases, transforms the Ford into a mobile strike platform capable of dominating the Caribbean's 1.06 million square miles. From positions off Aruba or Curaçao, U.S. forward operating locations, the carrier can loiter undetected, launching alpha strikes with minimal warning. Power projection, targeting Venezuela, Colombia, and beyond. The Ford's deployment amplifies U.S. strike options, shifting from sea interdictions to potential land-based operations. President Trump's October 22 announcement of plans for land target strikes signals this pivot, with the carrier as the enabler. Aircraft sortie times from Caribbean waters, mere hours to launch, allow for rapid response to intelligence on cartel labs, regime assets, or militia concentrations. Venezuela, the primary bullseye. Venezuela, with its 1,800-mile Caribbean coastline, lies within optimal striking distance. Super Hornets from the Ford, position 100 to 200 miles offshore, could reach Caracas, 180 miles from La Guaira port, in under 20 minutes at Mach 1.2. Precision strikes might target oil infrastructure, refineries like El Palito or the Orinoco Belt upgraders, accused of funding Cartel de los Soles. A JDAM salvo could cripple export terminals, echoing 2019 drone attacks but with carrier-backed saturation. Military installations, Fuerte Tiuna barracks near Caracas or Mariscal Sucre Air Base, where Maduro's Russian-supplied S-300 systems could be neutralized by Growler suppression. Cartel strongholds, ports like Puerto Cabello, hubs for Tren de Aragua smuggling, or inland labs in Zulia State. Reaper drones would provide targeting, with Hornets delivering GBU-12 paveway lasers for minimal collateral. Such operations, justified under the October 1 Non-International Armed Conflict Declaration, could decapitate Maduro's narco networks but risk retaliation, Venezuelan Sukhoi 30s or Iranian drones challenging U.S. air superiority. Colombia, collateral or complicit. Though an ally, Colombia faces scrutiny under President Gustavo Petro's total peace policy, which critics label soft on cartels. The Ford could extend strikes to cocaine labs, remote Pacific or Amazonian facilities in Nariño or Putumayo, 400 to 600 miles from the carrier. F-35s from Puerto Rico would escort Hornets, using glide bombs for standoff delivery. ELN/Clan del Golfo bases, the October 17 strike on an ELN-linked vessel underscores this vector. Inland raids on Catatumbo could disrupt 70% of Colombia's coca production. U.S. aid cuts to Bogotá on October 19 signal fraying ties, positioning Colombia as a secondary theater where carrier strikes enforce compliance. Other countries, ripples across the region. The carrier's reach, bolstered by B-52 demonstrations near Caracas on October 15, extends to Cuba. Havana, 90 miles from Florida, 300 from the Ford, hosts Russian Wagner mercenaries. Strikes on Mariel Port or San Antonio de los Baños airfield could counter narco submarine routes, reviving Cold War tensions. Nicaragua, Managua's Sandinista regime, allied with Maduro, shelters MS-13, coastal targets like Corinto Harbor lie 500 miles south, vulnerable to anti-ship harpoons. Haiti and Dominican Republic, instability in Haiti enables smuggling, joint ops with Dominican forces, as in the September 19 cocaine recovery, could evolve into carrier-supported insertions against gangs in Port-au-Prince. These projections underscore the Ford's versatility, not just bombing, but enforcing no-fly zones or blockades, with Seahawks inserting SEAL teams for ground validation. Strategic analysis, deterrence, escalation, and diplomatic fallout. Tactically, the Ford enhances interdiction, its Hawkeyes detect go-fast boats at 200 miles, enabling preemptive Hornets strikes, potentially slashing Caribbean drug flows by 30 to 50%, per DEA estimates. Strategically, it deters Maduro by signaling regime change viability. Opposition leader Maria Corina Machado has hailed it as encouraging. Amid Russian arms sales and Chinese oil deals, the carrier counters great power inroads, aligning with Trump's America First hemispheric security. Yet risks abound. Legally, strikes skirt the war powers resolution and unclose, with critics decrying extrajudicial killings, sans imminent threats. Escalation looms. A Venezuelan torpedo on a U.S. destroyer could invoke Article 5-like responses, drawing in allies like Guyana, which endorses the buildup, or Trinidad and Tobago. Diplomatically, CELAC's Zone of Peace declaration condemns intervention, with Colombia's Petro seeking UN action against Trump. Base denials by Antigua and Barbuda highlights sovereignty pushback, fracturing OASH unity. Economically, disrupted Venezuelan oil could spike global prices, while cartel retaliation, fentanyl surges via Mexico, undermines domestic gains. Morally, conflating criminals with unlawful combatants erodes U.S. soft power, alienating Latin youth radicalized by perceived imperialism. Conclusion? The USS Gerald R. Ford's deployment crystallizes a high-stakes gamble, leveraging unmatched naval might to choke drug pipelines and topple foes, from Maduro's palaces to Colombia's jungles. Its air wing's precision, capable of raining hell on Caracas bunkers or Nicaraguan docks, embodies American hyperpower, yet invites the ghosts of Bay of Pigs fiascos. As the carrier slices toward the Caribbean, it compels reflection: does this fortify security, or sow the seeds of a narco-fueled quagmire? In an era of multipolar rivalry, Trump's pressure campaign may deter today but ignite tomorrow, reminding us that in the Caribbean's azure expanse, the line between shield and sword blurs all too easily. The world watches, radars sweeping, as the Ford's catapults prepare to hurl forth both justice and jeopardy.